Hello, adventurers. Lex Gray here. Welcome to another entry. Today we are exploring episode 11 of Morter's Travels. Let's begin. So, episode 10 was massive. It was a huge stepping point. We have a few modifications to our vows from yesterday and some notes for episode 11. Now, the vows that really changed were essentially the journey, not our main background vow. Our background vow is still my father is missing. The journey we were on before has been modified to enter the church to save Father. To find Father, to search for Father, it's up in the air. But in terms of this episode, there are four things to consider. Right now, we are standing with Ellery outside the church, and I did say the doors open. That remains true. Are we going back into the dark realms from the audience point of view? Morter has no experience in the dark realms. He's barely had any interactivity with the spirits that kind of seep into reality, that escape the dark realms. Again, from the last episode, we now know that Morter has some control based on emotional rage to use the powers of the dark realms to his advantage. More so probably than Hulf. More so. I think more offensively, while Hulf, I think, teleported himself involuntarily to the Temple of Dragon, which is right there in the bottom of the screen. Don't recall if he used the shadows for anything else. Did reveal a few things in the chamber. Now, Hulf is debatable. Third, we can't forget, and a commenter pointing this out. This is something I probably would have forgot. The Cold Front spies. They are, they linger in Arlok, and we're going to talk about that before we actually start this episode officially. First part of this episode is going to be a reorganization of the lore. So I have to talk about the upper half of this map. And then finally, the Misfits. Are they defeated? Are they truly gone? Because based on what I've been hinting on and numbers, the Misfits most likely have been defeated. But that could also be up in the air. So let's talk about a few things here. And this is in regards to the world of Escabur. I have to mention these things because I did a reorganization of my notes. So we know that the northern half of Escabur is savage, remote, and barren. A lot of these keywords, these descriptors, are straight from the book, from the Lodestar book. So the tables officially are from Ironsworn. So far, based on what we've discovered and what we see here, there are three human settlements. Ranking by population, we have Corwood, which is no longer a city. I decided to just downgrade to a large settlement. It is corrupted and defended. So, like we know, it is occupied by several crime syndicates, one of which that governs it on their own at their own volition. Number two is Arlok, which we are currently located in, right behind me. Arlok is ruined and grim. I felt those two keywords really spell it out, the current conditions of Arlok. Arlok is a smaller settlement, very small. Dorman, which is right there in the middle right of the North Escabur, lower middle right, just north of the Watchstone Island, I think. The, we haven't explored it yet. I haven't really dug into that much, but the two keywords I have here to kickstart any introduction we may have in the future is perilous and protected. Then we have landmarks. These are regions in the northern Escabur Islands. We have Barco Island, which I've talked about before. It's on the far left there. Well, I haven't talked about it in detail, I just mentioned it. It is isolated and strange. We have the peaks of Pantheon, which we have been in for some time now. Vast mountain range spanning from the settlers around the Pantheon range. There is a worry of superstitions, rumors of a dormant dragon that I've talked about before, and violent wildlife. We've also had some interactions with that too. Then there's the Pantheon Hills just south of that, at the boot of the peaks. Those are barren and broken. We haven't explored them yet. We haven't explored anything south of the forest. Then there's the dark wood greens. These are wild and mystical. It's a large forest, pretty much like a shoe closing off the hills. Then there's Watchstone Island that I consider part of the northern half. That's what I just mentioned earlier. It is contested and withered. Don't have much details on that location. I think it's going to be one of the more interesting ones, like Barco Island. Then we have the South Escabur Island. We have the first two arcs took place in this one, granted excluding the Dark Realms itself. South Escobar is far more civilized, wide, and abundant. So it's almost a polar opposite of the northern half. We know the northern half is like the Wild West. It's lawless. I'll write that down actually. For the northern half, it's lawless. That's a great keyword. I'm not sure if that's in the book or not, but it's definitely equivalent. Now, we have 5 human settlements in the southern Escabur Island. By rank, we have the city of Haldrith. We've been there. It's rich and powerful. It's very influential. We have Cornerstone. That's actually the bottom left. We haven't been there yet. Settled and lush. Then there's Septhane. That's on the top left of the South Island. We haven't been there. That is remote and isolated. Not necessarily a bad thing. Then there's Ravenshade. That is the small town that's kind of in the lower center left. That is shadowy, small, and hidden. And then the last settlement that I'm counting as a settlement, not necessarily a landmark, is Castle Emberstock. That's right there next to Ravenshade to the top right. It is forgotten and big, which kind of contradicts the settlement, but I have an idea for what to do for Emberstock. It is occupied by people, but not many people know about it, that there's an occupied group in there. Okay, the landmarks, the regions for this section is the ruins of Ashford. That is officially a landmark because it is ruins. There's nobody living there. It's not a settlement anymore. It's right there in the middle. That's where a lot of the last 2 arcs took place, or I should say the past Echoes arc took place. Right there in the middle top of the South Island. It is desolate and corrupted. There is the Cursed Center, which is the dead forest, just trimming the north head of the South Island. It is abandoned, shadowy, and grim. It just touches the city of Haldrith, just barely. Then there's the Temple of Dragon. We've been there for quite some time, the last arc. It is mystical, isolated, right there in the bottom right center on the coastline. There's the Western Peaks, which are on the west side, just underneath Septhane. Mystical and isolated. I'm sorry, big and remote. These peaks are massive. And then there's the Grey Top Range, beautiful and lush. That's on the right half. Then the final one is the Greenwood. I'm sorry, the descriptors of that one is beautiful and lush. So pretty much the southern half of the South Escobar Island is just vibrant, lush, beautiful, healthy, plenty of vegetation, forest, trees, animals, wildlife, stuff like that. Again, complete opposite of the north side. And then the 6th landmark is the Greenwood Forest, which is abundant, dense, and peaceful. Now, our first locations out of the 2 we discovered so far in this arc, not the prior one, is Corwood. Corwood is a human settlement run by organized crime, dominated by the Frost Hands. I'm sorry, that should be the Corwood, or the Cold Fronts. Little typo there, or I should say error on my part. Mainly 5 crime syndicates occupy the settlement. Each syndicate controls a small section and kind of their own little thing. Like they do their own little practice on crime. So these factions are ranked by dominance. We have, I did name all 5. We have the Cold Front. They're organized governing the body, monitors trade and civilian activity. 2, which Damon and Morter are part of, is the Frost Hands, rivals to the Cold Front. They deal in pickpocketing and aiding the poor. Then number 3 is the Shifters. They handle black market weapons and equipment. 4, the Dark Khans deals in vessel transport and dock work. The Vanes, number 5, small group of defected Cold Front members. Remember that one. Because currently Ellery says she is from the Cold Front. But I've been thinking maybe she's part of the Vanes. Then we have Arlok. Arlok is the most contested area. Occupied settlement, but heavily suppressed by the Misfit faction, who resides in the Pantheon Peaks just to the right, just to the east. Arlok settlers live in fear. Misfits had a spy, keyword, he's dead now, who tips when travelers pass through, signaling misfits to occupy and raid Arlok. Humanitarian aid is typically supplied by the South Escabur at various times each month, flagging misfits to storm Arlok and strip the people of their supplies and aid. Recently, coal fronts from Corwood have been trying to take over, contest Arlok, and clear out any misfit influence, but mainly for their own gain, not for the greater good. Arlok also has a sacred site of a Dark Realms portal. We know this now, which is hidden beneath the church. Beneath the church. That's not a spoiler. We know this because of the floorboards typically vibrate and rise up whenever these strange shadowy forces and dark realms have a tendency to appear. Then the Cold Friends themselves from Corwood typically have spies in Arlok to monitor activity, but not to intervene until recently because of Morter. Morter has kind of interrupted the typical pattern, the procedure that the Cold Fronts operate within, their own rules, their own ethics. So that is everything in regards to the lore breakdown. That's everything so far, most major plot points, details. There is the dragon. That's always up in the air. The dragon could be dormant, could be, I believe, most likely is dormant. I'm going to put here that Ellery is actually part of the veins. Like I said, they are a group of defected defected operators from the Cold Front region. All right, let's begin. Sorry for that long intro, but I felt like it was necessary to talk about it. Now we are in Arlok, and we need to figure out what exactly happens now that Morter actually has this much more unrestrained connection to the Dark Realms. We saw him use it for his as a defensive or aggressive manner, meaning that he doesn't have total control of his power or potential power. I'm kind of counting the tether card as really the only one that qualifies for my lore dump in regards to the Dark Realms. Tether is really the only one I'm going to use when it comes to any shadowy force use, but not really based on what it says here. It's very vaguely connected to what the rules actually show. So I'm kind of hacking it just for the sake of the narrative, the story. Now let's roll to see what happens in the first scene here while we have both Ellery and Morter staring into the church. So let's pull up our dice and roll two rolls. One for action, one for theme. Okay, action, we have 89. Okay, loose, and then lose, I should say. Lose, wound. Okay, all right. As Mortar enters the church, his wounds heal. That's how I interpret it. I interpret it literally. His spirit increases to 5. So both health and spirit are at +5. Supply still remains at 4. That's nothing really that can just automatically heal. And I'm going to give him a momentum boost. He feels rejuvenated as he enters the church, and it feels so strange yet calm. He almost like he hears birds, the wind caressing the forest that's not around him at the moment. So he's at peace. He's not dead or anything, he's at peace. He hears the noise of a calming wind in the forest. He hears wildlife, birds chirping. Ellery, however, let's roll to see what happens to Ellery. She's an outsider. She's not really relevant to. She's a friend, obviously. She's an acquaintance to Mortar. Mortar didn't know who she was, but she knew exactly who he was and how to find him. Most likely, she was one of the people, the spies, originally that was supposed to be tasked to monitor Arlok, and she used the opportunity to take Damon to here. That's how I'm going with that. Action. Let's roll to see what she does in action. 80. Change. And then for theme, we have 68. I'm not too familiar with that word. Let's see, 26. Change barrier. Okay, so change barrier. Maybe it could be either positive or negative on her. I think this might be a role. So she's iffy on entering the church. We actually, I think I did say that she is a strong character, whether mentally or physically. And so this is nothing that she's going to cower at. But I believe this might require a role. And most likely, I believe that I think we did form a bond with her already. She's on my bond here. I believe we did that already. But just trying to see if this is a test of the bond. So she, let's say this, she is a strong individual, strong woman, but she's not able to enter the church. She's not welcome. The church, the spirits in the church see her as an adversary, as a negative aspect entering the church. And she's not able to actually physically enter. Like it stops her. She gets pushed back almost, like she slides across the floor and she's like doing this. And Morter looks back. Morter's thinking. Again, he wants to go to the altar. The altar is kind of the key. The altar is the item of interest here. It gave him the cloak, and now he's expecting something else will be on top of it. Something he doesn't know about the portal. That is not within his scope right now. He thinks the altar is the holy grail of opportunity here with the shadows, but what he doesn't know, the portal is actually downstairs. It's literally beneath his feet. The altar is just it was contaminated after years of exposure to the dark realms. It's a highly contested object that is used for prayer. It's used for ceremony. It's used for gathering. It's just a very symbolic item, a large, we can say it's a podium, an altar of sorts, besides the chairs, and it looks like a church hall. But it's a real most symbolic weapon, the item that the dark realms, again, dark realms is technically sentient, that is seized as some kind of item to channel its power, to speak to whoever is loyal or connected to the dark realms, which Morter technically is by blood. So this will either be compel or sojourn. I think compel, because not to compel Ellery, but to compel the forces of darkness that is through his bloodline. So any of my this is where tether comes in. This is where tether comes into play. None of the other cards. So tether, just allowing to roll a +1. Let's just say it qualifies to roll +1 for heart, and which we're doing. So we're trying to. I think Mortar now is understanding how his powers work a little bit. So he looks back at the altar. The altar is pulsating with some kind of strange blur that he only sees in his vision. Some kind of strange force, not like a energy or not a visual that others can see, but kind of a blur effect. If you're thinking like After Effects or Adobe Premiere, it's a radial blur that kind of pulses to him. So again, the altar is to him is the Holy Grail. And he looks to the altar. In his mind, he's trying to persuade to allow Ellery to enter. Again, they're trying to enter the church. Excuse me. The church to find. They think Damon is here, but neither of them know about the Dark Realms portal, the whole other parallel dimension that reflects, that mirrors, like the Upside Down from Stranger Things, that reflects reality as they know it, or like from Doctor Strange, the mirror dimension. I think more so the mirror dimension. I believe in the original arc, the Dark Realms, I was making it to be the Upside Down, dark, grim, literally upside down at times, twisted, deformed. But I think it depends on who is occupying it. For Mortar, because he kind of experiences the darkness of the dark side of reality, living in crime, it'll be more of a mirror. Like not much will change in his eyes, but it'll be more than mirror dimension in his eyes. Everyone experiences the dark realms differently. It depends on the perception, how they live in society and their own reality, and the polar opposite, or more so what is most convenient. So he is trying to compel the dark realms. This will be a roll, a standard roll plus hearts using tether because he is um, tethered to the dark realms itself. So we're doing a +1 on heart, +1 plus heart. So that'd be 3 total. He's trying to convince the Dark Realms to allow Ellery through the doorway, to at least into the church, to be a witness of this experience. And that is a 4 total over a weak hit. Okay. Again, I'm not using anything else of a card. That's a weak hit, which means I could use momentum here. I have 7, but actually, I might save that for later. So, yeah, let's do a weak hit. A weak hit, as above, but ask something of you in return. Okay, the Dark Realm. So if it's a strong hit, they'll do what you want. Okay, so they'll allow her in, +1 momentum, but it asks something in return. All right, so I'm going to increase my momentum to 8, which is very impressive right now for everything that has happened. But a weak hit, they ask for something. So the Dark Realms request something in return. That will be another either action or themes roll um, or a plot twist. I'm leaning to the action and theme here. So let's see what Dark Realms ask for what in exchange. So 59, take, it's ominous. 13, take time. Take time. Interesting. I'm going to write that down on my notes here. Take time. Not sure how to perceive that. Is it take your time to understand? So let's see. Take the time. I could take it literally, like it's going to take time for her to comprehend the. Yeah, it might take time for her to comprehend what's going on here. Mortar is more so exposed, but let's also see what a plot twist Oracle reveals. I'm just curious here. 46. A true identity is revealed. Take time. Now, the Dark Realms lets her into the church, but it's going to take time for her to comprehend what she's about to experience because she's not of the bloodline. So Mortar can kind of pick this up. He turns back to her and says that try to enter now. She's confused, but she takes a step in and it doesn't resist. So she continues to walk into the church and she's being very careful because she knows this place is of dark magic. Mortar looks back at the altar, and the altar actually seems sharper now. It's in focus for him. So he tells her just to remain there for a moment. He's going to consult the altar. And she's like, what? So he walks up to the altar, and he's trying to figure out how the altar works. He's not thinking of what's beneath the floorboards, what's below the church. He's too focused on the altar. Not a bad thing, but I believe that's what he's going to be focused on for some time. We can just take time for this. Take time can also relate to how Mortar treats this. Let's not forget about reveal a true identity. So I'm trying to figure out what move this would be. Let's test a bond through here. So he's going to test the bond with the Dark Realms. Arlok, essentially. The town of Arlok. Arlok includes the settlement of Arlok. Arlok also includes the there we go. Sorry about that. Fix my camera. Also includes the Dark Realms, the church. So it says when your bond is being tested through conflict, betrayal, or circumstance, the circumstance is that she's in here and that he's trying to get answers for his father. So he puts his hand on the altar. He puts both hands, and again, we know he prays, or let's just say he does this. He prays with his hands together like this, a conventional method of praying. He puts his hand on the altar. He says, "Please show me where my father is." He's trying to find his father, and his prayers get answered in some manner. So he's praying. This is test your bond. On a strong hit, so we're rolling plus heart. This is the tether, so we'll use that card. Plus 3 together total for this roll. Okay, that's a 4. Now, oh, uh-oh. My, ah, this little, this little sticker is wearing off here. So, yep. Okay, I'm going to put a new sticker here. I'll be right back. With test your bonds, I have plus 8, so I'm going to lower that 8 to a strong hit. I feel like this is a very significant moment to do so. So I'm going to reset back to 2. We have no conditions or abilities right now to lower that reset. So on a strong hit, it says, the test has strengthened your bonds. Choose one. Take plus 1 spirit, which I'm already maxed. Take plus 2 momentum. So I'll do momentum. And then, basically, we're going to find out, we're going to use a true identity from earlier. And when I'll roll, I'm going to piggyback off of that and use the following. These two, again, action theme has been working very well for me lately. 66. Finish. 64. Structure. That's to do with the church. The actual physical structure of the church. Finish. Meaning that the church was built on top of the portal. So, Morter gets a tip. He looks down as he finished praying. He hears voices coming from beneath his feet before he can finish his prayer. His exact prayer is not answered by any means, but it's hinted. Go downstairs. So he looks down, and he sees a strange blue glow through the floorboards. There are cracks. Ellery starts to notice that in the distance that Morter is looking down. She looks down too. Nothing in her eyes. She just sees darkness. Like she sees what's below. She probably can acknowledge there is something down there. But Morter looks down. He sees a strange blue glow. He then looks at Ellery, and he does this. He tells her to come over here. Ellery, in her, like, I'm not sure what kind of clothes she's wearing. If it's, I keep thinking she's a cleric, but that's not what she is. She's from a syndicate that's mostly dealing in crime. So she is a spy. So she's dressed in a large. She has a cape. I know she has a cape. So she walks over. She looks down, and does she also see the? Yeah, I'm trying to figure out if she can also comprehend what's happening. But she did take time, so she looks down. I'm going to say yes. She can kind of see it. She says, "What's down there?" And Mortar says, "I think what's down there is the answer to our question, and where my father is." So he's looking around and saying, "We got to figure out how to get down there." And this will be I think that's just looking. This is gather information. So a basic roll. You search an area. That's literally what we're doing. So we'll do. We have a bond because she's there, so that's plus 1. We're gonna roll wits. So wits is 3, so it's gonna be plus 4 in this roll. Plus 4 looks like that's going to be a great strong hit. So we have 6, 7, 8, 9. Perfect. Strong hit. You discover something helpful and specific. The path you must follow, an action you must take, make approximate clear. Envision what you learn. Take plus 2 momentum. Okay. Plus 2 momentum. Okay. And what we learn is the following. Again, I'm really sorry. I love using these action and themes. They really work out pretty well. All right. I'll have to refresh the browser. There we go. All right. 49. Defy. 83. Religion. Oh. Oh, that's ironically very relatable, related to the situation. Okay. Well, huh. Defy religion. Defy the church? Maybe there is no way down there. They look around, there's no doors. Maybe they go around the building. There's no like bunker or hatch or door to go downstairs. So Ellery thinks, because she's probably the more aggressive one, let's rip up the floorboards. Now it's a defy religion, defy the church, like defy the grounds. So Mortar's like, what can we lose? What can we lose? So they grab some tools and they use some tools. They break apart the floorboards behind the altar, so it's kind of out of sight, out of mind. And when they break apart the boards, the floorboards, they see another room beneath, and it's mostly just dirt. But there's a well, and this well has a vibrant, bright, blue, swirling portal in the form of liquid, like water. But it's strangely bright. And so they see this and they're like, what the heck? And the camera, picturing cinematically, zooms into the portal. And you can see spirits kind of floating around in the portal, voices, and Mortar is getting entranced as his eyes lock in. Ellery's seeing this. She doesn't see what he sees. All she sees is a bright a bright pool of water. Well, doesn't see the hands, the voices. He's experiencing this because he's connected directly via bloodline. So he then starts to kind of lean forward, and she catches him. Like, whoa, whoa, whoa! What are you doing? And he's like, I have to go out. I have to go down there. Father's down there. That's clearly that's some kind of gateway. So we got to think of the circumstance here. We know for a fact there's dark magic here, and not I keep saying dark magic, just kind of like a placeholder for whatever it truly is. Dark magic. He knows this is a magical influence, and he's thinking that is a portal. He says, "I think my father is in there," and she said, it's a flippin' well. What are you talking about?" He says, "No, no, you don't see it. I see souls in there. I see, it's calling out to me. I got to go in there." So he tries again, and she stops and like, "Look, I already lost your father. I'm not gonna lose you. Are you nuts?" So she's being very deceptive, being very defensive here. She's not playing along, and because of that, we got to test her bond again. Yeah, we got to test her bond again. So he is getting a little agitated that she's not letting him through. She's trying to protect him. So let's do a test bond here. Plus the heart. My heart's 2. Oh, yeah, 4. Yep. Okay, so on a miss, if you have no interest in maintaining the relationship, clear the bond and pay the price. Okay, on a miss, or if you have no interest, it says. Okay, so I have momentum 6. I can make it a weak hit. I'll just do that. I want to keep her along. I want to get rid of her that easily. That easy. Okay, so I'm deck 2. We turn this into a weak hit. On a weak hit, which is probably the most interesting, your bond is fragile, and you must prove your loyalty. Envision what they ask of you and do it. Swear an iron vow. If you refuse or fail, clear bond. So we don't get anything. We don't get any spirit or momentum, but basically we have to. You know what? This will direct us to compel her. She cares about us to an extent. And currently we're on a formidable vow, which we're in process of going out to get our father back, which will take some time. Because that's literally 1 box per check, per progress. Actually, it's a journey. So, if I'm not mistaken, let's wait on the compel. Okay, so we can't forget, right now we're at this intersection of she doesn't want us to go, we want to go down there. That's the break point. That's the overpass. But I think because it's a journey, this is considered a segment. We found the portal, so we got to roll plus wits. And we share bond with the forces and kind of her, so +1. So this is a waypoint. So plus wits +1, that's going to be 4 total. I rolled a 6, which is a weak hit on top of that. Yep, that's a weak hit, so 6. So on a weak hit, you reach a waypoint and mark progress will suffer -1 supply. Okay? So, I mean, we didn't really travel far. I'm just using it more of a plot point. So, we're officially one box in, and we lose one supply. Narratively, I'm not really sure what excuse that would be, but I'll just let that. We'll move on from that. Now we shall compel her. So, we try to tell her, look, I am going to rescue my father. He's no, we, no way he's around in the village here. This is, this seems to be the most obvious spot. He's definitely down there. I may not be, he may not be blood related to me, but for some reason, I have this belief that these forces have, he's, just picture how I'm tripping on words. He's trying to figure out how to piece this together. He's like, uh, Porky Pig is, he's basically trying to say that he needs to go down there. He thinks his father's down there. That's what he's trying to do. That's all, folks. And compel. So we're trying to compel her. This is going to be plus heart. We do share a bond, mostly with the father. So it's more impacting. Charm. Here we go. We're trying to compel her. I don't think it's really test the bonds. I think it's more trying to compel her. So here we go. Plus one with charm, trying to convince her. And that's going to be heart plus three total on this roll. And ooh. Oh wow. Nine. So it's a weak hit. Yep. It's a weak hit. Kind of expected. As above, but they ask him, so we take plus momentum. Okay. So they ask something of you in return. Basically, here's what she says. She's she's like conflicted. She's like she stands up, she walks around in circles. She's like magic. I will fight an ogre, triple my size. But magic, let's say she hates magic. She hates magic as it had a bad experience. She's like, if this is magic that you only apparently see, you bring your father back in one piece and yourself included. If not, I'm going to find you myself and kill you. So he's like, okay. So she said, look, the misfits, most likely they're done for, but we cannot guarantee that. There's probably going to be backup. You don't have much time. So she's hinting that there's probably more of them. Like there's probably more back at the camp. She says we can only hold them off for so long if they come back. I'll have to keep that in mind. So misfits are probably not defeated just yet, but most of the bosses, that's for fact, or maybe a general commander. So we know for a fact that the big dogs are defeated, and most of them have been displaced, killed. So she's like, we don't know what's happening around the village here. People are anxious. They are unruly. The misfits have been defeated for the most part. Anything can happen. She says, just hurry back. And then he's like, okay. So she gives him some rope, helps him down, and he's standing there at the portal. As he gets closer, the water starts to take form into a bunch of dozens of like dark hands grab him, and that's where it cuts to black. And she's witnessing this. She's like, so that's all I'm going to do with this episode. That's all the time I have. Yeah, episode 12 will be in the dark realms. So, notes for myself: Morter got sucked into the dark realms via a bunch of yeah, like a mosh pit grabbed him. Yeah, took him in there, and she is going to do whatever. We really don't know. So, yeah, okay. I'm going to do one tick for the father, two ticks for the main background out. There you go. That's going to be it. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Um, and as always, do my usual outro here. Well, that's all for today. Hopefully you enjoyed this telling. Please subscribe, like, share, and most importantly, comment. See you in the next entry.